Welcome to All Ball. Format unique, all access for all y'all. What the spill like? Back full of elite athletes that wanna teach and it speaks to the streets, so it feel right. Marcus Liberty, a legend on and off the coat to give you what you need. Robert Reed is your co-host. Go. Yeah. Like and subscribe and follow like a crossover. Never know what might fall through this bitch tomorrow. So, All Ball Chicago. All Ball Chicago. All Ball Chicago. It's all I know. It's All Ball Chicago. All Ball Chicago. All Ball Chicago. All Ball Chicago. It's all I know. It's All Ball Chicago.
Welcome to another edition of All Ball Chicago. I'm your co-host, Robert Bobby Reed, and I got the legend, the NBA veteran, the McDonald All-American, your host, Marcus, living in the building. What's up, Marcus?
What's up, my beautiful people? It's Friday, man. It's Friday, Bob.
Well,
it's Friday.
Man, being an entrepreneur is actually on Friday every day because you can pretty much do what most people can't do during the week. You know, we can do that.
Right.
So I don't get overwhelmed by Fridays at all anymore. On Fridays I tuck my tail. I stay in the house, man, because that's when I know all the weekend warriors are out.
Well, it's some things, man, I want to talk about, and I know you got some things you want to talk about too. But you put something out on your page this morning about me. You know, and I didn't tell you to put that out there. You wanted to put that out there to get some, I guess, to get some conversation going.
You know, right? I'm always gonna stir stuff.
and the numbers that I put up in those 4 games, man, was something special. You know, I just hate losing, man. I hate losing. So I was doing whatever it takes to win. You know, to win those games, man. So the city championship game, I remember like it was yesterday. I scored 41 points in the city championship game and 41 points in the state championship game. I don't think those type of numbers in a championship game have been done in Chicago public school. I don't know. If it is, you know, I would love to see that and hear that. And then I see people, you know, they thinking about you trying to debate with, you know, the late great Ben Wilson. You know, you got people, you know, talking and chiming in about that. I can talk a little bit about that. We need to let Ben Wilson rest in peace. Ben Wilson did his thing. One guy said it was a debate, not about stats, not about stats. And I love Ben Wilson. Ben Wilson, I looked up to him. I love this game. But when you try to, you know, belittle me in that conversation, that's not cool because I'm still alive. You know, I can defend myself. Right. So whoever that gentleman was, I don't know who he was. He said Ben Wilson hands down or something like that, to that nature. And he said the debate is not about stats. So what is it about? Is it about championships? I got championships. Is it about, you know, athleticism? I had that. So what is it about, you know, to that gentleman who put that out there?
Right. I shut him down. I shut him down. I shut him down. I told him, we're not bringing Ben up, man.
Right.
Like, I got too much respect for his family and all of that stuff.
No,
so,
but
you know, we got to let Ben rest, man.
But when people put that out there, I'm still alive. You know, don't make it seem like I was a scrub.
Right.
You know,
right.
I'm gonna defend myself. You know, I'm definitely gonna do that. You know, so
you're supposed to, man.
But what you put out there was, man, like you was like, man, I didn't even know that. You put that out there. You like, I didn't know that. You know that, man. Marcus was putting up those type of numbers, you know, for that run that he had. And then a couple of people chimed in, was talking about, you know, yeah, but he had 2 freshmen, but those 2 freshmen were starting. You know, so that means those were the 2 guys that coach wanted to put out there.
Who that? Johnny Selvey and Jamie Brand.
Yeah. So those guys was, you know, the starters all year. You know, we were winning games all year. So when we put things out, you know, for debate, you know, just like with Mark Aguirre, You know, me and you talk about Mark Aguirre a lot, that he should be in the Hall of Fame if you're going off numbers, right? So what is it really? What's the criteria of somebody being in the Hall of Fame? You know, we got our guy Tim Hardaway, we got Isaiah Thomas. We got some Chicagoans in there, but why is Mark Aguirre not, in that Hall of Fame? So people, want to debate that. People want to chime in and talk about that. And I always say Mark Aguirre was the type of guy that didn't kiss no butt. And we know that, that Mark is not going to, go out of who he is, And I think a lot of times when that happens, people look at you different, and I think maybe that could be, part of it, but he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame for sure. Mark Aguirre.
No question, man. And that's, that's one of those things that's non-debatable to basketball historians like you and myself who love the game of basketball. We can always put Mark at the top of our food chain because we saw what he was able to do, for Chicago. He literally put Chicago on his back. And then having Terry Cummings, we can't just let Mark make it seem like Mark did it by himself. Terry Cummings always get left out of that conversation. Terry Cummings was a dog, man.
Terry
Cummings was a beast.
I mean, you go look at his numbers. I mean,
and then you put TC in there, then you got to throw Teddy Grubbs in there. Teddy Grubbs was tough. Skip Dillard and Clyde Bradshaw, all of them. I mean, all five of that team was tough now. But Mark was the goat of that team.
But you talking,
he had a good supporting cast.
But you're talking about just Chicago.
We're just talking about Chicago.
You're not talking about they should be in the Hall of Fame.
Right. Right.
Maybe Terry Cummings, but Teddy Grubbs didn't make it to the NBA. So
no. Well, I was just thinking of based on high school.
Right.
So we'll say definitely Terry Cummings. I don't like Terry getting left out of all these conversations, man. Because Terry, you look at his numbers over the course of his career, man. He was a double guy every night. In the NBA.
You just have people in different eras. You got fans in different eras. People probably didn't see me play, but they saw a Derrick Rose play. People didn't see Benji Wilson play, but they saw Teddy Grubbs play. So it's like it's whoever you like and whoever was dominating in that era. And I think that's what happens a lot of times where people leave people off those lists that you see that people put out, top guys and this and that. So whoever's putting those things out, they just need to do a little bit more homework on certain things. I think when you put things out there and saying, this is my top 100, why is it your top 100? What is the body of work that they did in high school? That's what I would look at when people put these lists and get these things out there that they want to create. Maybe they want to create likes or some confrontation. Maybe, I don't know. But when you put those things out there, you got people that know the game. They'll go back and say, no, this is what happened. No, these are the numbers. No, stats don't lie. We always say that. People always say stats don't lie. So when you start talking about, who's your top and who's this and that, then you got to have something to back it up.
Well, somebody just hit my inbox, and I'm going to read this. He said, I tell people all the time, Liberty is the best Illinois high school player I've ever seen. People want to say Ben, all due respect, with all respect due, but he didn't get to his senior year, so we don't know how it would have turned out. Looking at their games, I compare Ben to KD and Lib to LeBron, and I take Bron over KD. He just does more. That's the way I see it. And, and that's just his opinion. And, it's like potatoes and potato, tomato, but I don't want to make it versus you and Ben. I just want to make it about the whole landscape of Chicago basketball because he considered big bro to me to you. He came out in 85, you came out in 87. So that's them dog years in basketball.
Yeah, that's man. Like I tell people all the time, like people that don't know Ben Wilson, they would ask me questions. How was he? I didn't have a relationship with him off the court like that, but my cousins in them did. My cousin Tony Rice and Steve,
they played with him.
Rice, they played with him, and he used to come into Robert Taylor's and kick it with him and hang out with him. So I've seen them, but they was doing their thing. I was still
you was a shorty.
I was still a little boy, so they was doing their thing. But to say, to put, I don't like to do that for one, because Ben Wilson was I would say Mark Aguirre, those guys. Mark Aguirre put Chicago, on the map, him and Isaiah Thomas on the national thing. But it was people before that was getting down, So that's
Mm-hmm.
why I said it's what I saw with my eyes.
Right.
So Ben Wilson came, and then I came right after that, So
Right.
let's
2 years
let's
after
just say
that.
that's love, Chicago basketball. But I know it's a fun topic when people want to debate, who was the dog, who was that dude.
Right.
So
Right.
I'm okay with that, long as it's factual, information that you're putting out there of why you like that type of guy or why you like that player, So I think
Right.
that's the key to it, like nobody's going to say Ben Wilson was not a great basketball player, because he was. Ben Wilson was a
Absolutely.
great basketball player, and
Absolutely.
Ben Wilson
Absolutely.
did a lot for Simeon High School. I
Right.
think that's why you see a lot of those guys wearing that number 25.
Yeah, I
So he
agree.
did his thing.
Absolutely. And in all fairness, just to all y'all guys that played, and we always talk about it, like you can't compare the eras. You got to let one guy, like Kobe Bryant said it right before he died. He said, why not enjoy Michael Jordan's 6, enjoy my 5, and then enjoy LeBron's 3 at that time. I think Bron only had 3. He said, because it's something that we can't, he used a big word, we can't prove, like the eras. Like you can't take the Lakers from when they had their run to play against the Bulls when they had their run. You can't do it.
Right.
So
Right.
it's just
But people gonna
it's just good for barbershop talk and all of that stuff.
But let's get back to what we really came on for, and that was to talk about our Chicago Sky, the
Yeah, they played their
Chicago
hearts out.
Sky.
They played their hearts out, man.
You think they played their hearts out last night, Bob?
I think they left everything out there, man. Even when the other team made the run. And let me pull that stuff up. Let me pull it
Well,
up
no,
right
but you got
quick.
to think about this, man, because I watched the game, and I know you watched the game last night, and we both know the Connecticut style of play is physical, and they did it the
Mm-hmm.
whole game. So they
Mm-hmm.
didn't get out of their uh, element. But you saw Scott, the Chicago Sky, not moving that ball like they used to, like they
Yeah.
was used to doing. They
Yeah.
was taking quick shots. They would do, and that's what Connecticut wanted them to do, right? But
Yeah.
when they was moving that ball, you getting those girls tired, and they stopped doing that. So now what they do? They said we're gonna pressure a little harder because they not even trying. They're not even trying to move the ball like they was accustomed to doing.
It's a
So,
very interesting stat here. Go ahead, Lib. I want to bring this up real quick after you get finished, bro.
and Kevin Haywood is a season ticket holder for the Chicago Sky. He says the Sky never looked in sync the entire season. That's the truth.
Wow, wow. Well, I know they said that I'm just looking at this stat, and they said the Suns went on a 22-2 run to win that game.
Yeah, they didn't
Now,
score. I
so
mean, you got to think the Sky didn't score in the second half.
they didn't score.
Not much.
He said, "Now, okay," and the Sky coach said it's probably one of the biggest disappointment of his professional career. And I want to say that, Coach. And this is just me, Coach James Wade. When you was up 12 points with like 4 minutes left, and the Suns started surging, and when they cut that score to 6, you didn't call a timeout at all. Your team was coming down, taking bad shots, turning it over. They looked out of sync. Any Bush League coach would have called a timeout. Any Bush League coach would have said, hold on, timeout, they making a run. But you didn't do it. And in fact, you kept letting them make a run, and they took the lead, and they ran off with that game. And your team looked like they was running in quicksand. That was all coaching, man. Terrible coaching job down the stretch. Now, Lib, you can take over.
No, I agree with you. You know, that's the coach's job when they see things not working and the team is looking like they out of sync, and you see a team on the other end is making a big run. When they started making those runs, you have to do something. And the thing that you needed to do was to call a timeout. Call a timeout. Get your girls together. Get the ladies together and say, you know what? This is not Chicago Sky basketball. We don't take quick shots. We move. We backdoor cuts. We set ball screens. We get the right shot. And we did it sometimes yesterday. Some of the time, they did it. But not all the time. And that's what lost the game. They got out of what they were accustomed to doing. And that was a great defensive job on the opposing team. That's what they did. They rattled them.
They got rattled. That's the key word to it. But in rattling them, you know it. You played basketball. You've had coaches that when y'all was up on the team and you celebrating, and then they make that run. When they start making that run, every good coach is like, ho, 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 time out. Look at the score, y'all. We was just up 12. Now we down by 6. Come on, man. We need to get something good. Candance, let's get down to that block and let's get something out of you. I don't need you on the perimeter. You're a seasoned veteran. You got all the tricks. Let's try to get something for show. But instead, we kind of tried to play a hero basketball.
And then did you hear what the announcers said that the coach said at half? They didn't actually talk to him, but I guess they did a little interview and he was telling we got to get the ball to Candance Parker, this half. But they didn't do it.
They didn't do it.
They didn't. And I don't know if it was because she was, a little winded and whatnot, or to demand the ball. I don't know. But I think, if the ball would have just went through her, I think it would have been a little bit better outcome. Because they had the lead, like you said. So if we move the ball around and get a shot, at least a decent shot, where they were shooting balls, man. Quigley, and I like Quigley, and Quigley is probably one of the all-time leading 3-point shooters. She was relying on it too much, and it wasn't going in. So then what you do? So I think if I was coaching that team, I'd take her out. Because to me, she was a liability. Probably on defense too, and she wasn't giving me no buckets on the other side. So I would have went to the young girl. What was the young lady I told you about? Dana.
Yeah,
I think her name was Dana. She played pretty good. I think it's Dana Evans. She played pretty good in the game before. I know the game was already over, but I think she brings a little bit more of that toughness, and I just didn't see her. She didn't play at all yesterday. Last night.
That was sad, man. And we talked about that. How coaches need good assistant coaches to be able to get them out of that deer with the headlight feel when they standing there. Because all we seen was coach standing there like this the whole time. Speaking of Rob, speaking as a coach, your team, and some coaches try to let their players play through some situations. Now, personally, I would call a timeout when they cut the lead to 10. Man, come on, man. Cut the lead to 10. So they was up 20? He said when they cut the lead to 10.
No, they was up to.
They was up by 12.
12. Yeah, they was 12.
Right.
So he was saying even when they scored the 2 points to knock off the 12 to get it to 10, he would call the timeout then.
Right. See, I was giving them 6, but yeah, that's a good timeout, man, because we know how it goes when you're in that mashup, when you're in that situation as a player. You're just trying to make the next big play. I haven't been in that situation, but I play ball to understand that situation, that you have to get something good.
And they said it, Bob. They said it. They said Connecticut plays off emotion, right? So when they know that they got you rattled and then they score some buckets down there, now they right into their element. They ready. They ready to rock and roll. So you needed to get them out of that by slowing it down a little bit, moving the ball, doing your cuts and all that, what you were doing early. And I think it would have been a different outcome, Bob. I'm just saying. I know they had the lead, but it was a lot of time left.
It was a lot of time, man. And it just
and I think they thought they had it.
They did, man. They was celebrating.
Yeah.
They was celebrating. I saw it because what happened when Connecticut called that timeout, no, who was that? Suns called the timeout.
Mm-hmm.
When they called that timeout, when we was on that run, I don't know what the coach said to his team, to their team over there, but they came out and took over. They were like, okay, he probably said, okay, we took their best hit now. All right, y'all ready? And that's what you got to make your team feel like. We comfortable. We all right. We okay. Don't go over there. Come on now. We got to get it together now. You go over there. All right. They made their run. All right. Y'all ready? Let's go down here. Let's get some stops. One stop at a time. But you can't show no signs of weakness as the coach. Right?
Right. All right. So I kind of agree with Kevin Haywood on this one a little bit, because when Bonner got that 3-point play and they was late on reacting to, the defense on their defensive assignments, and she got a tray back. She got a 3-point play and they fouled her. And then the referees went to review it and all that. But you see how Connecticut was playing. They was pumped, that was that run that they were making. And I think when she made that foul, I think it kind of threw Chicago Sky like, oh shit, we in some trouble. And I don't know if that basket made them take the lead, or was Chicago Sky still up at that moment? I can't remember. Kevin, do you remember that?
Here we go. It says, and over the final 7 minutes and 20 seconds, the Suns shot 7 from 12 from the field and 8 for 8 from the free throw line. On the other end, they forced 3 turnovers, 4 which included jump balls that forced the
Sky.
They got the Sky. The Sky didn't get the ball back. They blocked 2 shots and limited the Sky to 1 from 11 from the field. So that means they went down 5.
Yeah.
And you live by the jump of what, Liv?
You die by it, buddy. And did they miss any free throws? I don't know. Did Connecticut miss any free throws?
They went 8 for 8. They didn't miss none.
In that quarter, right? In that half.
Quarter.
I'm talking about for the whole game. I think they didn't miss a free throw for the whole game.
Let me go to their box score real quick.
I think.
They was highly efficient last night, and I was getting more and more pissed. That's to say.
Yeah, that's. And then you look at the stats. Let me look at these stats right quick. All right, for the Sky. Candance Parker had 9 rebounds, 7 points. Kalia Copper had 22 points. Emma had 14. Quigley had 3 points. Vandersloot 12. Right. They need more production, man. That's what I had said the day before we got on. Before we got back on to talk about it, I said they're going to need some more, productivity from Quigley. And
because Quigley only had 3 points. Yeah, you're right.
She didn't give it to us, man. She didn't give
But they played big minutes though.
33 minutes.
They played 33 minutes apiece.
Yeah.
They top 5 played 33 minutes apiece, and you only got 3 points from Quigley and 7 from Parker. You got to do something, man. The coach, you got to make a decision. Yeah. But on the other flip side, this Suns team has been all of them been scoring in double figures, man. All of them. You had 2 players with 15.
Yeah, they started 5 had double figures.
Yeah.
They started. But it's gonna be interesting to see how they play against Las Vegas, man. Las Vegas Aces has the coach of the year, defensive player of the year, and they have what was I saying? They have the MVP.
MVP. Yeah.
Right. So let's see. I'm getting my popcorn ready for that one, baby. You say you riding with Connecticut on that one, right? Yeah, you said you was riding with Connecticut on that.
Wow. Yeah, I am. This is the headline in Chicago Tribune today. This is going to hurt for a long time. Chicago Sky WNBA title defense ends as they get outscored 18-0 to close out Game 5. A mug give you 20 straight buckets almost, and you can't answer that, coach. That's coaching, brother. I know players make plays. I know that.
No, and I think Connecticut did what they supposed to. They wear you down. Candance Parker she looked a little out of sync a little bit, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this because if you counting on Candance, who is what? How old is she? 36, 37-ish?
Mm-hmm.
You counting on her for the bulk of the minutes to put buckets in the basket, to rebound, to block shots. And then I gotta battle these big tall girls on the other end too.
Yep, Candance Parker, 36 years old.
Man, come on.
Yeah, she left it all out there. You know what? They won one last year, and they'll be fine. You know, they'll come back and be able to try
No,
to defend
but
against
Bob, how are
the
they gonna come back? These girls are unrestricted free agents. Candance Parker, Quigley, and I think Vandersloot. And you might want to throw in Copper. I think Copper might not be back. So this might be a totally different team next year.
right. Yeah, man. And somebody's calling me from Toronto. Somebody calling me from Canada. They're gonna have to hold out.
They want you to get a WNBA team in Canada.
Hey, one of the teams, the coach said, I don't want to get on the record for this. The Suns have knocked Candance Parker out of the playoffs 3 out of the last 4 years, Miller said. She is an incredible all-time great in this league, but I hope someone writes the combination of Joquel Jones and Lisa Thomas and Bree Jones have knocked her out 3 out of the last 4 years. I hope that post group gets credit for what they do night in and night out.
No, but Connecticut, that's what I said. They had a pretty doggone good basketball team.
And then Candance Parker said something back. She said, I mean, here's the thing. We have a standard that we uphold. We won a championship last year. We don't hang conference banners, Parker said. So to be honest with you, I mean, defensively, I think, yeah, they did. They did a great job. They won the series. But I think if it's anything, it's us not aggression that changes things. And I've shown you that we do a series regardless. I thought you were going to say something to him per se. That's because you figure you saying you knock Candance Parker out. She got a team.
Right.
3 out of the 4 years.
Right.
But, you know, people playing against the Bulls, they wasn't trying to knock Scottie Pippen out. Trying to knock Michael out. He played against the Lakers, they wasn't trying to knock Worthy out.
So Kevin says Copper has a max deal. So you got one possibly coming back for sure. But those other 3 that I named, Kevin, it's not for sure that they're coming back. And they were part of that championship team. So it's going to be a different look next year.
Definitely. Yeah, the WNBA, that's one thing about that WNBA, man. That changes every year, though. You know, every year it's not like, you know, the NBA. They secure those guys.
But
those
Bob,
girls, they have to go get the bag.
But you know what I want to talk about too? Mention, not really, we don't have to go into, depth with it, but I remember when the WNBA came in Chicago Sky and no one was at the games.
No,
I remember
I went to a couple of games.
They were giving those tickets away.
Yep, that's how I got there.
And that's what I always say about people. They want winning product. You get the winning product, they come to the games.
Yeah,
right.
You're right.
But the true fans, who stuck with them regardless, they get overlooked. Those fans get overlooked because they're like, well, we was here, right, when they wasn't winning and we stuck with them. But then you get the championships, the banner hanging in the arena. Now everybody says, that's my team. I knew Chicago Sky was going to do it. That's my squad. Woo! Right?
You get celebrities at the game on the front row.
Come on, man.
Everybody there. Everybody want to be a part of a winner.
Yep.
But don't nobody want to be there to lay that groundwork and that foundation, man. You know that. That's just like with a business, like with Liberty's Edge or the culture and all that. We're not getting those big endorsement deals right now. But when they blow, people going to be running to the door. But yeah, WNBA is a great season, man, for Chicago Sky. and just to be in the hunt, man, because a lot of teams are not getting
Man,
those opportunities.
I
So,
can honestly say, man, I was proud because you look at it, those girls, Candace, I said her age, and I'm pretty sure those other girls are pretty, up there in age too.
mhm.
Quigley and Vandersloot. I think we should just be proud that they gave us something to cheer about, something to celebrate, you know,
Yeah,
other than what's going on in Chicago with the violence and watching, basketball, women basketball. And now we about to head right into Chicago Bulls, the NBA season. It's Chicago is just about to be lit again, because I see a lot of great things in Chicago, starting with, DePaul, the Bulls, you see a lot of things that's about to change in Chicago,
yeah.
and I don't know about the Bears, maybe you can talk about the Bears. I don't know
I
what they
don't
got
know.
going on.
I don't know either. It's all ball Chicago, but I don't know a lot about the Bears though. But I know we got our first game this weekend. A lot of people look on to watch. But as far as Chicago Bulls though, it's gonna be interesting to see what they do with that team because we can't get Ball in some shape. I mean, Ball can't seem to get healthy.
Hmm.
So who are they gonna play? I haven't heard a lot about Io this year. What is he doing? What has he been doing this summer? Have you been playing a lot of pro-am? Have Io played the pro-ams?
No, Io is good, man. I mean, they already know. They didn't see what Io can do, so they just building behind closed doors, man. I'm assuming, getting the guys used to each other, and they got a bunch of guards. We do know that, and you got Andre Drummond now who can protect the rim, rebound, and play some defense. So I'm thinking that they gonna be something to reckon with, and I definitely know that they're gonna be a running team. They definitely gonna be a running team. Uh, so I'm excited about what's to come. And I got my nephew, who's got a shot. He got a shot at making that team. So I'm looking forward to what's going to happen.
Yeah, that's gonna be huge, man. For him to be able to have that opportunity, man.
Oh, watch this. I'm gonna put this up there. We about to laugh, man. Look
Oh my!
Oh man, I got Danny Spencer, man.
Your water, man. That boy's a
Man,
fool, man.
man, I can't do that, kid. And then
Wow.
then Ralph said put Bobby in at point guard.
Well, I need some oxygen out there, bad, man,
Man,
bad,
them
man.
girls would have gave you buckets out there, Bob. They would have gave you buckets.
Ah,
They would
I
have
ain't
gave you
gonna
buckets.
because this is a family show. I'm gonna keep it family oriented. You're not gonna pull me into that one.
Oh,
I'd
boy.
have had 81 like Kobe on them. Hey, look, Andre Drummond, 29. Okay, so he's still a little young. It seems like Andre Drummond been around forever.
Well, because he came out. Did he play 1 year at UConn? Yeah, he played
Yeah, I
one
think he
year at
did 1 year.
UConn, and then he left. Right. So
Let me ask you this though, man. Be keep
okay.
it 100. Don't you think Chicago, when it comes to basketball, when they picking their favorites and the reality of who the best is and all of that, don't you think they wear their heart on their sleeve?
Yeah, definitely.
Because if
Definitely.
we're talking straight high school basketball, as far as ability, talent, uh, I mean, the ability to score all 3 to 4 levels, Lib, you got to be the best player to come out at your size. And then after that, it would have to be, I'm talking about the ability to speak. I had to put Antoine Walker in there with you because Antoine Walker could do the same things, right? If we're talking about agility, putting it on the floor, getting from one end to the next, handle everything, then we got to put you and Antoine Walker in the same bracket as for the big side, big guy, big guards. What do
Like
you say to that, man?
I said this before, Bob, and I'm talking about me. I'm not talking about nobody else.
Okay,
When
all
I
right.
went to Crane High School on the west side, I could have played varsity. I love what the coach was saying. Coach was like, "You probably will play, on varsity, but you're gonna start on the Frost team, on that freshman team. You're gonna start, get you used to playing high school basketball, and man, we won a city championship, right? City championship my freshman year. We playing right before King and Simeon is playing at the Pavilion.
Right.
We played against Simeon.
That was Ben's junior year.
That was Ben's. That was when Ben and them won it that year.
That was
That was
Ben's junior
84.
year.
That was 84, right?
Yeah, that was Ben's junior year.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're right.
So they won, and now I'm looking at the pavilion, and I'm seeing people at the games. I'm like, man, I got to put on a show, right? And everybody basically already gave Simeon the championship for the Frost championship, right? Because they had Irvin Small, Deion Butler. Deion? I don't think Deion wasn't there. No, Deion wasn't there. But they had Irvin Small, Baby D, Archie, Mark Bradley. So they had their group of guys that they were saying this is going to be the next group to come up for Simeon. So and we had over at Crane Joe Doherty, Steve Collins, Tremel Murphy, Mark Lockhart. We had some guys from that west side that could Tyrone Hyman. Man, we had some ballers, man. Terrell Jackson. So we had some guys that was on that team that was real nice. If that team at Crane would have stayed together, ain't no telling what we'll be sitting here talking about right now. Right. But so I won a city championship with them. Left there goes the King. Right. I'm talking about me, Bob. I ain't talking about nobody else. We lose to Tilden, right, in the playoffs. So I didn't get a chance to get to the playoffs. I mean, to that pavilion. We didn't get a chance to get to the pavilion. The next year, 86, we win the city championship and go downstate and win the state. So here it is. Listen to me. That's 2 city championships that I've won. Right. Now, 87 comes around. I win another city championship. So that's 3 city championships in 4 years that I won. And now I get knocked out by Mr. LaFonso Ellis and the East St. Louis crew. I tried.
But on your way to that, was that was when you got those numbers?
That's when I got those numbers. 41 in the city championship. Chicago Public School Championship.
Is that a record to this day?
Against Crane High School. I don't know, man. People they want to forget about me, Bob. But I ain't forgetting about me. I'm not going to forget about me.
You're the first person to see in the morning.
Come on. I'm still here. So, and we got some people that want to water it down. Yeah, Marcus, yeah. No, come on, man. 41 points in a city championship game. 41 points in a state championship game. We can talk all day, man. And we can debate all day. Right? Everybody has their favorite players, though. And I'm not knocking none of that. You got your favorite players.
But you're not finna allow them to forget what you did.
No, I was reading something that Danny's put out there. No, I'm not going to sweep that up under the rug. Of my accomplishments that I displayed for Chicago, because that's where I'm from.
Right.
I wanted to, everywhere I went, I wanted to represent Chicago to the fullest. So when I played in the McDonald All-American game, I had 18 points, 8 rebounds. And I didn't even
Okay,
start in that.
but
And I ain't starting that game.
wow.
I ain't even starting that game. The Dapper
Why
Dan,
didn't they start you?
because I flew back home. I had flew back home to take the test, the Proposition 48, that ACT. I had to take that
Oh,
test, so I flew back. So I missed some practices. So I
you
guess
missed
the
the
coach
shoot.
was like, oh, we're not going to start him. So I didn't
Right.
start. But I still had 18 points, right?
And
And
y'all end
then
up losing by 1 or 2, you say?
I don't know how many we lost by in that game. But all-star games are all fun, so
Right, right.
it was all fun and playing against your peers, the national, guys that's ranked and rated and all that. So that was all good. But my point, Bob, was back to what you were saying, that how people have their favorite Chicago, once they know that's their favorite, no matter like if their numbers or their body of work don't compare to someone else, they still gonna ride with that person, right?
Right.
And
Yeah.
I think when you do that, it makes you look kind of silly because those who gonna dive into it and really go in hard, they gonna look at it and say, well, no, such and such outweighed him, or such and such had this and he didn't, So you just got to be very careful when you start, wanting to have these debates, barbershop talk, as we say, right, Bob?
It's 100% barbershop talk because most sport topics is pro-choice.
Right,
Most sport topics.
right. Because you got people still talking about Michael Jordan ain't the GOAT or such and such ain't this, So it's always gonna be something.
Well, Michael Jordan, we could be a prisoner at a moment, but you could always throw Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in there.
Oh,
You could
definitely.
throw Walt Frazier. I mean, not Walt Frazier, but you could throw Kobe Bryant in there. Did you ever play in the Boston Shootout?
Nope. And the reason why, because I remember Ruben Norris. Ruben Norris put that together along with some other guys. And they used to take the top players, from Chicago and go and play in that Boston Shootout. That was before the AAU scene really got big, right? You would go
Mm-hmm.
to the Boston Shootout, and Coach Cox just didn't like us playing in that for whatever reason. I don't know, and I just know that the gentleman who was running it wanted me to play in it, and I didn't have that opportunity to play in it. And I heard the guys had fun. Keith Stalling, I think he was on that team. I can't remember who else was on that team, but they had some ball players that was pretty good. I respect everybody's game that came from Chicago. Not one person I didn't respect their game. I
Mm-hmm.
I I respect the grind, man, because people don't understand playing basketball in Chicago alone. Just I ain't talking about going to different states and playing. When you play basketball in Chicago public school, it is hard.
Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
going up against, cats that been working their butt off, trying to get a scholarship because of the background of or where they grew up, in the hoods, the neighborhoods. They wanted to get an opportunity to have a chance to get out of the neighborhood, and that was through basketball most of the time to get those scholarships. So they don't want anybody to come in and show them up,
Right.
but it's just it is what it is. Chicago Public League. I'm always going to say I was proud to play in that public league because of the people that I met, the people I played against, the battles that we had, the friendships that we have to this day, all because I played in the public league.
Let me ask you this: what conference was the toughest to play in? The Red West or the Red South?
But you gotta throw in, we played in Red Central. So Simeon was in the Red South, Simeon Carver, and then you had that middle, which was the Red Central.
Mm-hmm.
Roberson,
Okay.
Phillips, Dunbar, King, right? And then you go on the west side, the Red West, which you just mentioned, was the Farragut's, the Cranes, the Marshalls, the Manleys, on that west side. Red Central to me when I watched the guys that came before me, like the Ephraim Winters, the Flips, the Fred Shepherds, and Tracy Dildies, the Ramil Shorters, the Teddy Grubbs, playing against Phillips with Carl Golston, uh, then you had your boy at Dunbar, Ronnie Lester. I mean, that Red Central was something special. A lot of great basketball. So I don't like to tear down each division. Let's
Right,
just
right,
say Chicago, because when you get to that city championship, that's one thing I was looking forward to when that city championship, because we all know, and I didn't even think like that it was just one team that was going to go down there until I got older, when people start saying, man, you know what? It was unfair that only one team can go to Champaign. Back then it was in Champaign, and then they moved it to Peoria. But
right,
man, that's not fair. And I didn't look at it like that. I looked at it as, okay, this is competition. I'm trying to
right.
get down there, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when we played, when I was at King and we were in the Red Central, and we had an opportunity to play against a red, South, team, which was Simeon most of the time. We can be honest with that, right? Simeon used to
Right. Y'all always seem
dominate.
to meet each other. Right.
Simeon used to dominate, right? The Red South. I mean, not used to, they still doing it, right? But so when you see that happening over and over again, you wanna take them down, and
Mm-hmm.
that was my job. That's how I always looked at it. I said, no matter who we gonna play in that city championship, uh, we gotta show up and show out. And
So how many?
we
I mean, so what's your record versus Simeon?
3-0, 3-0. Remember, I said, I beat them in it's a frost out, right?
Mm-hmm.
In the city championship, and then I beat them in '86, and then we beat them in the semis, I think, not in the championship, but it was still at the Pavilion. We beat them with my man Cody Butler, and so man, it was, and Dion, of course. Um, yeah, we beat them. I'm 3-0 against Simeon.
Okay.
So to answer your question, who's the better conference? That's what you wanted me to, answer. I'm gonna ride with Red Central all day, buddy. Ain't nothing
You
changed
went
about that.
all the way around there to come back to the S. I was asking. Okay, that's what I was
Yeah,
looking for. I
man.
knew you were
So
gonna say that.
yeah, but
Give me your top five. Give me your top five.
high school players,
Yeah.
man. Dude, I'm not gonna do it, man. I'm not gonna do it.
I'll put you on the spot right quick. I'm gonna make people be
All right,
calling
here you
you
go.
like,
Here you go.
man.
Me, and me. Nah,
You
but
sound like the rose in there. Huh?
right. But no, man, it's some great basketball players that came out of Chicago, and for me to just pick five would be extremely hard. So I would have to really go back into the history of basketball and understand who came before me. Like I heard George Wilson was a bad boy, you know, at Marshall. He was, I think Marshall probably was one of the first teams that from the Chicago Public League to win a state championship, right? And then you
Mm-hmm.
had those great teams. You had Tilden. I mean, you had teams that was, pretty good with some pretty good basketball players. And you would have to know exactly, what the history, of basketball was in Chicago, man, before you start talking. And I'm not going to put it out there, because then I'll put people that's I know in my era,
Right,
and
right,
is that fair? I
right.
don't
You don't
know.
want to leave nobody out. And I
Right.
can definitely understand that. I can definitely understand that. But so I mean, can you say what you think the greatest team?
The greatest team, you gotta put Simeon up there, because of what they did after, the Ben Wilson era, and what Rob Smith did at Simeon. And I know a lot of people will say, well, they changed it. Now the city championship wasn't important and this and that, but you still winning ball games.
Right.
Simeon was still winning ball games, and Simeon is still relevant. A lot of those programs that we was talking about, like King, for instance, even the school that I attended, they have a basketball program, but they're not letting kids in so easily. Can I say that? Yeah. They're not
Okay.
you have to test to get in because it's a prep. It's more of a college prep school now. And so they all, about the academics, which is fine with me. And I always
Yeah.
say this: Duke isn't, higher education school. Notre Dame is. Stanford is. They want to win. King
Right.
High School. We need a good athletic program, right? And I'm not saying let all kids in. Yeah, let you test to get them in and help them become better
Right.
student athletes. But I think you can't erase the history of what was there. And I think some administrators that was there was trying to erase that. And
That's sad, man. Why
and I,
would
I
they
don't
do
think,
that, man?
yeah,
Why would they do that, man? Like that's basically saying, okay, you young men went to King back in the days, and no, and it didn't really happen. You
right,
know?
right,
Yeah, that. So they try to erase your high school career and erase it like it never happened.
right.
Marcus, Benji, Derek, Jamie, Johnny, Melvin. All my picks are biased, but so what? There's one person on there that I know that you love to death. That damn Smooth boy.
Johnny,
That boy loves Smooth. I remember Smooth used to come up to Simeon when he was in grammar school. Danny
that's
was like,
another,
man.
but that's another guy that people don't talk about a lot. Johnny
Mm-hmm.
Smooth Melvin, over at Robeson High School. And because he was different, but he was himself. Point guard, he wore the gargles, man, and you would look at him, you'd be like, man, this dude can't play. And then you get him on the court, and he gets on the court, man, and he dancing with that ball, talking trash, shooting over you, from Inglewood. He was just different. And I love Smooth to this day. Me and Smooth, we still cool, man. And that's what I said. That's what basketball to me is all about, man. Like not just the
Brotherhood,
competitive.
man.
Yeah, you build something together, man. Like me and Nick Anderson, we still cool and we still homies to this day. Uh, Irvin Small, another one. Dion Butler, me and Dion might not talk for a minute and then we'll pick right back up where we left off at. So
Like it never happened, right?
Joe Doherty, I mean, same thing. That's my guy. I even talked to Pookie, who was that point guard with us on Crane, Steve Collins, and he apologized. We apologized to each other, like, man, we got to keep in contact with each other because we had that brother, like you said, that brotherhood, man, and I think that's what's missing in life in general.
I
That
agree.
that people get so caught up in competition, or I want to outdress you, I want to look cleaner than you, and I want to be better than you, and then you start to thinking, and now this guy looking at you some kind of way because now he's envying you because you always throwing stuff in his face. So instead of just saying, man, you my guy, let's build something together if we can. If not,
Right.
you still my dude. It's like when I read something the other day about LeBron James, one of his childhood friends, and he wished him a happy birthday. And he was like, man, I couldn't do it without you. Even though LeBron is this icon, this mega basketball superstar, he still shouted out his man. Like, this is my dude. I wouldn't be who I am today without this dude. And he
Mm-hmm.
didn't put him down and say, man, I'm in the league, you not. I ain't saying no happy birthday. He like, man, that's my guy. And I think people, when you have good-hearted people that understand that, man, it makes everything move a little bit more smoother around you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. I mean, that's just life in itself. You know, we tend to think that we could just go about it and do things and we don't need nobody and I can do this and the other. And life is a lot more simple when we work together, when we
Right.
support each other, when we do things as a group. And it's just, if we can get back to that. You know?
It's just unfortunate that a lot of Chicagoans don't think like that. You know,
No,
they
no.
would rather throw it in your face what I'm doing, what I got. And that could be anywhere too. That probably in every state that you have some people like that, you know. But
Yeah.
I just think Chicago has it more so than others, you know, that. And I don't, man, shoot, that dude ain't do nothing for me, so why should I do something for him? When you thinking like that, now you separating yourself, and now you isolating yourself, and now you want people to come and attack you on certain issues or certain things that you do, in the way you carry yourself, the way you dress. It's cool, but don't throw it in my face like you better than me. And I think that's what happens a lot of the time.
But you know, back in high school, it was always some kids, man. You know, when we was in high school, that dressed better than everybody else. They always had all the material things, and you know, and sometimes that don't always equate to becoming a good person. Because
Right.
sometimes, man, you can give your kids too much growing up where they don't understand what it is like to be able to struggle and be able to maintain life without all the material things. So once they get old to live, they're not able to weather the storm. Like once their parents move on and pass on and they're in this world by themselves, and somebody been giving you things your entire life, you don't know how to go out and get them. And that's one
Mm.
thing that I can say about you and me, you know, growing up, we didn't have a whole lot. You know, we all we knew is mom and dad was gonna make sure we had something on the table, had some clean clothes to go to school, you know, a nice peaceful home, but there was no extras because you had
Right.
4 kids in your house just like I did, right? It was 5 of
Right.
y'all, it was 4 of us.
Yeah.
It's just not, it wasn't a whole lot of extras in the 70s
Right.
coming around in them urban communities, man.
Yeah.
It was just enough to go around. So that's why we the way we are to this day, man. Squeezing every dime and every dollar. But
Look what
yeah,
your
man,
boy. Look what Danny put up there. And he's talking about in high school.
Marcus,
Just
who was that one guy you battled against and you said that dude is a problem?
listen.
I go
Go
ahead,
ahead.
Liv.
No, you go ahead.
No, I thought you said nobody. I thought you said you didn't run into too many people at all.
No, man, it's a bunch of people, you know, that I was like, man, this guy, Walter Bond. I said that before on the show because me and Walter Bond played against each other when he was at Whitney Young, right? And then when he went to Collins, we played against each other. Uh, there was a couple of dudes, man, that I respected their game, and they always played hard. Uh, Antoine Davison was my guy over at Collins too. He was a problem out there on that court. Um, man, I mean, of course, Nick Anderson at Simeon when he was at Simeon, but before he was at Simeon, he was at Prosser doing his thing. And Johnny Smooth, that we just talked about, Johnny Smooth Melvin, you know, he
How
was
tall
he
did
was
he grow? How tall did he cap out at?
Smooth. Johnny
Yeah.
Melvin, he was about 6'5", 6'5", point guard though.
Mm,
You know, he went
mm.
on to play at UTEP and did great things. Um,
Did he
he
get an
was
NBA look?
I don't know. I don't know. And but Phillips, Phillips always, you know, had uh, a lot of good players that. But I knew a lot of those people at Phillips and Dunbar, right? Because they all went to the school. I mean, they all was pretty much from my neighborhood between the Hilliards and the Ickeys and the Robert Taylors. You know, those
Right.
are people that I knew already. So that was just like home games when I used to go play them. But I got mad respect for, you know, man, a lot of people don't talk about my man, Anthony Paul, like I don't, Paul Robeson and St. Anthony over at, that was at Phillips. So the Phillips people know exactly who I'm talking about. Them guys, I don't hear people talk about enough. Those are bad dudes, man.
Over at Robeson and at
No,
Phillips.
At Phillips High
At
School.
Phillips.
Oh, bad, man. And Keith Stalling. Keith Stalling. I can't forget about my man
Phillips
Keith.
right down there on 39th and King Drive.
Um, he's off
Right, a little
39th. It
bit
was off
off, but
39th.
right,
It
a
was
little bit
close to
off
it
of
was
it.
close. It was
That was
Persian,
the
39th and
they
Persian.
they said the front of that was the original front of what they used for Cooley High,
Hmm.
Phillips High School.
It looks like it. It looked just
The
like it.
front of Phillips High School is but the original location of where it was shot was in Cabrini Greens.
Right.
But the front of Phillips High School was that. and it was right by Otterby Wells, and so yeah.
Yeah, right off Persian. But it was Chicago basketball was just something special, Danny. I'm just gonna say that. It was a lot of great basketball players, especially in that era and that I played in. So Andre Tate was a bad boy, Ed Roberson, I mean, they had a lot of great guys. Even before, I think I was my sophomore year, I got a chance to play against Roberson with Jerome Childs, man, and the big fella. I can't think of his name. I want to say his last name was Danny. Probably know the big guy that played with Jerome Childs.
Oh, Danny definitely know.
Yeah, he played there with them, and Jones, I think his last name was. But they had a man. I remember like playing against them. I'm like, man, these dudes are seniors, man, and I'm out there as a sophomore playing with them guys, man, against those guys, and that's when I got like, man, it's some ball players in Chicago Public League, and I'm like, man, these guys are tall, strong, physical, talk trash, But
because back then the young guys played with the old guys.
Yeah, but the West Side. That's why I tell people when people try to compare the two, I said the West Side is definitely different, definitely
physicality.
Different.
They live physical.
Yeah, I mean they talk and they back it up, and the referees ain't calling them fouls. So what you learn on the streets, as far as street ball, you got to bring it into Chicago Public League in general. You have to bring that in Chicago Public League. If you don't, you will get eaten alive.
And that's why the coaches stay in the red division in Chicago. They know.
Oh yeah. College coaches know that if I can go into Chicago and get me, I want to even say the 6 or 7 guy on that team, I'm getting me a ball player.
That's what one of this coach said. My man that we had come on the show that wrote the book about. They wrote the book. He used to coach at UTEP. And he said he'd much rather go over to Carver High School. He knew he couldn't come to Simeon and King and get you guys. So what he'll do, he'll go get one of those guys that's not as popular. And
right.
You might not get the same scoring ability, but you get the same dog. You know what I'm saying? Because that's one thing about it, man, playing in the city of Chicago in the streets, wherever you go, you're guilty by association. When you walk in the gym and they say you're from Chicago, you better display a certain level of dogism. You got to. Or they're going to be like, you ain't from Chicago.
Right.
You got that stigma.
And anybody out there that know how to get my man Saint from Phillips on, man, I got to get my man on because he was a walking bucket. I've seen that with my own eyes. That St. Anthony was a walking bucket.
That was his name, St. Anthony?
Man, if I could get him on, man, I would love to, and just pick his brain on why was he giving people those type of numbers? All right, we got somebody coming in, Bob. Here we go. It's your guy from Hoop Ball and Scoop.
Fellas, I have a question. Since y'all Chicago boys, who is the all-time leading scorer in Chicago history in terms of high school? I think you said it was your teammate, your young teammate, JB, right? Jamie Brandon, right?
I think Jamie is third. Yep, Jamie Brandon is third all-time leading scorer. Right, that's in the history books. It's in the books. That's from Chicago Public School. So I think it's Jamie Brandon. If I'm correct, I think I'm correct on that. Jamie Brandon scored over 3,000 and something points in Chicago basketball, history. Wow. And then somebody says who bought a scoop? I want to know this.
Where does Eddie Curry rank in terms of high school ball in Chicago history? Eddie Curry was big time, wasn't he?
He was the number one player coming out between him and what's the other kid that was out of California?
Tyson Chandler.
Yeah. So they were neck and neck. And so you gotta always when we throw in like suburban teams, that's a suburban school, right? Mm-hmm. So they didn't really play. They didn't battle the teams in Red South, constantly, or Red Central constantly. So they out there doing their thing in Harvey, you know, in Dalton area, which is still fine and dandy because you balling, you hooping.
Right.
So we I don't know if we can put him in that category, you know.
Yeah, and then they didn't have to fight when they leave the gym if they won. That Red West boy. Hey,
but Eddie Curry was definitely
didn't he go straight out of high school?
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, man. I was listening to his story. I probably finished watching that when we get off. Fix me something to eat. I'm gonna chill today and watch that Eddie Curry documentary, man, because
I haven't seen it. He have a documentary out now.
Oh man, I was watching it, man. Yeah, man.
What is it on? Is it on Netflix or where?
It's on they got it on that the Players Tribute.
Oh, okay. Okay.
They got it on there and they got it on I think it's on Tubi.
Yeah,
but I started watching it because I didn't realize that his chauffeur was the one who had him set up for people to rob his house. When they robbed his house and broke in and stole all his stuff and held his people at gunpoint, he was like, you know, the guy who was responsible, like his manager's chauffeur, he was like, hey, look, I know, you know, word got back, you know, I found out who got your stuff. So basically he was extorting Eddie Curry out of his money, you know, all the time.
Wow.
Because we got to understand, Eddie Curry was a young guy when he got in the league. How much do you know at 18,
is that a fact or that's just a legend?
That's a fact. That's what Eddie Curry said. They ended up finding out.
Wow, man.
Yeah, man. Crazy. His story, man. I'm gonna finish once I get off. I'm going on pull it up again and finish watch the whole thing.
Wow, that's.
I'm gonna do documentaries all day today. That's what I'm gonna do today.
I think I definitely saw the one. I don't know if you saw the one they did on New York. I told you the point guard.
Point guards, yeah. KD them. I'm gonna watch that too. Like I'm gonna sit in the house and do
that
some
was
work
a good one too,
today.
man. That was good to hear them. The New Yorkers talk about, you know, who they looked up to and who's that dude. Man, I think Chicago should do one you know, not exactly, but similar to that, because, you know, I think the history could get lost, and you want to tell just like. And I got real caught up, man, the other day, man, when I was thinking. Remember when Sweet Charlie Brown was on, and me and him was talking, and when you got off, I think you got off, and we was talking, and I said, man, I'm gonna keep in contact with you, and I was texting him, you know, on and off, and it's crazy. I was watching that point guards, right? When I'm seeing how they're giving those legends before them and some people before them all this love, and I'm like, no, that wasn't even point guards. It was another one with Jerry Ice Reynolds. It was another New York documentary. He's got so many documentaries, but they was giving so much love, and he was saying the dude who was narrating was like, man, I got to give people love while they still here, give them their roses while they still here, and so it made me think about Charlie Brown, Sweet Charlie Brown. So I immediately called him, right? And it goes to voicemail. So I'm like, hey. So I don't know what made me go to Facebook. I go to Facebook and Sonny Parker puts rest in peace, Sweet Charlie Brown. Crazy. Wow. I didn't know he passed. Wow. I left a message on his voicemail saying, hey, buddy, just checking in with you, seeing how you doing, man. Whoop-de-whoop, I love you. Wow. And then I see that on the page, and I'm like,
that's that connection.
Man, that's crazy, man.
That's that connection, man. And it's real. Crazy. Though that telepathy, that mental telepathy, man, that's real.
Man, dude.
And I know you were like, what the heck just happened?
Man. Man, dude. But
yeah, Sweet Charlie Brown, man. I'm just so glad I had a chance to meet him, man. Being there to be on this show, meeting so many people. Yeah. You know, I talk a lot of trash.
Even the first time, Bob, when I first met him, and I'll tell you the story, then we can wrap it up. He was refereeing high school basketball, Chicago in the public league. He was doing a lot of our games, and I'm like, who is this tall dude, man? You know, refereeing. And then one day, one of my uncles had to pull me to the side. He said, man, you know who that referee in your game? I was like, no, I said, I just know he tall. He's like, man, he said it just like that. He said, that's sweet Charlie Brown. I said, sweet Charlie Brown. He said, yeah, he went to do Sabo, man. He was a bad man. So he would
Wow.
always give me pointers when I was out on the court. You know, even though him and Cox didn't see eye to eye, he didn't get along with Cox, right? But he would always pull me to the side, young fella, do this, young fella, do that. And I'm like, man, he didn't have to do that.
He didn't
So
have to
he's
do
one of
that.
those guys that I was telling you about. And that's what makes me who I am today because of people like him. He poured something into me to say, man, it's not mine to keep. It's the knowledge that you have. You must share it with the young generation. Right. And he was doing that as he was refereeing the game, man. So I really respected that and appreciated that sweet Charlie Brown did that. So rest in peace. My condolences still go out to his family, you know, because we never really got on and really talked about it. And we miss him dearly here, man, because he did come on our show and bless us, man, for about 2 or 3 hours. And
Yeah,
I'm trying to find the other video that we did, man, because I had to chop it up. And I just don't know where it's at because I did put the part 1 out, but it was part 2, and I just can't find him. And I'm still gonna look for it because I got to put that out, man. That was one of his last interviews, man. It was on All Ball Chicago.
and you know what? I'm gonna add to that, and then we can get out of here. You know, okay, now let's just take all the things that you've accomplished, right? And then let's take Charlie Brown. He was back in the '60s, early days. Now, you saying he pouring into you? He didn't know he was doing it because he loved it, right? So now look what you're doing. You see what I'm saying for these kids?
Yeah.
So people need to understand, man, the majority of the things that you do in life, you won't be able to take with you.
No.
It's the impressions that you leave on people.
That's
That's
right.
what we put here for, to be fruitful to our people that's in this world. I won't go religious, but God put us here to be fruitful. And anybody that comes in contact with you should feel that. They should feel a level of comfort, a level of like, man, he really cared, you know, and that's what we here for, living. Now, after that, you can have all the money in the world, but if you're not touching somebody where they could walk away and say, man, because I got like 3 calls this week, people like, Bob, I just love what you're doing, man. I admire you. But I'm just sitting back like, damn, I still don't have the money though. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But it's not about the money, man. You know, we want it, but how we touch people is all that matters. So
that's facts, man. And I think a lot of people don't understand that. And I think once we do, we'll see changes across the board on everything. Because if you're a good person and you're doing good and you're helping somebody, you uplifting people's spirit, and you're talking and constantly being a mentor to these young up and coming athletes. I'm gonna use athletes because that's who I'm touching right now. A lot of athletes, guys who's playing basketball, guys who want to get involved with basketball, even on the women's side, I'm doing the same thing. So it's what you learn from older people that make you who you are today, right? And when you understand that, then you become an OG, they call it, right? An OG. You pouring your seeds back into the younger generation, and you constantly watering it until it automatically clicks one day. And then they become
what it is.
The next, young buck that comes up, up under your wings. Charlie, like I said, I would say it. I was up under Charlie Brown's wings, because he touched me. I wish, like I know we talked about this before, that the Mark requires and the Isaiah Thomas was around in Chicago a lot, so they could be, I'm not saying they need to do it for beneficial, reasons, but to touch Chicago public schools, even though Mark went to he was a Chicago public school kid, but Isaiah was more, on the Catholic side.
Yeah, St.
Joe's. But to have those guys come back and touch and communicate, with us in the summer times during their off days or whatever, man, that would have like lasted a lifetime with a lot of kids coming from Chicago. But
how can they do it now? How can these guys do it now? Like
they can still do it. I mean, because
let me ask you this though, Neil. How do we get these guys who are making all this money, the D Roses, the Talons and all of them, to be able to give of themselves, not money, go into the school, sit in the classroom, go talk to the kids, just be there. Just chum it up with them at lunch. Go sit in the cafeteria and sit and eat lunch with them and sign some autographs and make a kid's day.
Well, Bob, I think I can't speak for, but I'm just assuming that they get so caught up in others, like other things, that they forget what actually made them, right? Which was, growing up in Chicago, being a product of Chicago public school. I also think that the upper administrators should do something for guys who were successful, became NBA, NFL, Major League Baseball players, track and field, tennis, whatever it may be, to do a celebration so people know that a Derrick Rose walked down the hallways of Simeon. I was in that same class.
Because everybody don't know that.
Yes. Or Marcus Liberty went to King High School, and this is where he got his name. This is where he built up his to what he became. But they don't do that, So I think it's a two-way street, Bob. I know we want our athletes to just say boom, but I think when they get so caught up, they get so busy, they're doing a lot of things. Somebody need to reach to whoever's their handlers, the people that's handling they marketing or what have you, to get them back out in front in Chicago public schools. And once you do that, I think you'll see a more like Mark Aguirre. I know he's doing big things in Chicago now. He's out there in the public. He's going to a lot of the Chicago public schools games and whatnot. He's doing, a lot of great things. But I just want.
But you want them to do that stuff while they in the league.
Yes.
Because that's when it really matters, man.
Yes.
And I think what happens is not just Mark, but I just think that most athletes think that they're gonna be professionals forever, that they're gonna never have to come back. And no matter how much money you got, you're going to get bored. And all roads going to lead back to where you started from for you. Right? Like, no matter how far you go in your life, you're going to, I ain't successful as hell. I've done well. But I'm always going to still go back to the hundreds. I'm still going to go around there. So, because I never lost contact with that, because I just love that community. And I just think that we as a people have to do that.
Yeah, we have to. And I think my man Steven Alexander just said, he said, contact the Chicago Public Schools Sports Administration. I know Tony McCoy is involved in that. I know Cindy Irvin is involved in that. So I definitely know that it could happen, but I think it should be a big celebration, man, while we all still here. Because one day, like you said, we're going to wake up, or we might not wake up, right? And now we all going to celebrate, right? Just think about this. When Ben Wilson, I know we're going to get ready. When Ben Wilson died, we had people loving him when he was playing. But when he died, you see how many people he touched, right? So where was those people when he was alive?
Right.
Was you celebrating him then? So that's the point what I'm trying to say. Like, Sweet Charlie Brown was a product of Chicago, went to DuSable High School. I mean, segregation, and went through all of that, back in the 60s, 50s, actually, right? So for him to talk about that on our show, of how you couldn't go on this side of Chicago or you would get your butt whooped, and you get downstate and we playing against, Caucasians, and they already had it out for us. We knew we weren't going to win. But we were favored to win, and to hear that, to hear him say that, like, man,
that's crazy.
That's something we need to hear, right?
We need to hear that. And he was part of that DuSable team that got cheated, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. He got cheated.
And they was working on a documentary. I wondered did they get a chance to finish that
Well, I
thing.
think what's your name, Curly Boo said he's got something in the works. So I think Curly Boo's going to probably release some of that. I think he's just looking for the right people to get behind it and help it. But to hear that story, Bob, that's what I'm talking about. To hear that
Yeah.
story, right? He should have had an opportunity for people to celebrate him while he was still alive. Instead, we were all talking about him when he's gone, right?
Right.
Because he mentioned that on a phone call with me. That, man, I appreciate what y'all doing with the show All Ball Chicago. It makes me want to say I'm proud of being a Chicagoan. I'm proud that I played Chicago basketball. I met a lot of wonderful people. And man, you guys you uplift my spirit. He was saying all that, Bob.
Well, next year, Chicago, All Ball Chicago, honorary, give the players their Roses Banquet Hall of Fame. We're going to do it, man.
That's
We're going
across
to
the
pick our
board.
top 100. Top
That's
100.
that's across the board. We got to do that, man.
All Ball Chicago, top 100. And
Yeah.
then and we'll get everybody's input and we'll narrow it down and then we'll just have a big banquet. We'll get it sponsored because we can get sponsorship. Have everybody come out and all y'all guys that did it, you man can chum up like, what up, boy? I ain't see you, boy. How you doing, man? Because I think that'll break down all these walls that we got up in Chicago with everybody. Okay, fellas, one last question. Sorry I was late. Salute to Tim Hardaway going to the Hall this weekend. My question is, did Tim did him saying that gay comment make him not get into the hall earlier? I'll let you take that, Lib.
No, I don't think so. Because think about this. He's in it. So if that comment like hindered him from getting in it earlier, he wouldn't get into it later. Because
Right. It's still there.
Yeah, it's still there.
And especially now.
Right.
It's way more out in the open now.
No, I don't think that had nothing to do with it. I think Tim apologized for what he had said. I think it hurt him as far as his television, his sports career, because he was on ESPN and I think they actually took him, off of that show, that ESPN show, I think that he was on. But no, I don't think that hurt him. And people make mistakes, man, and people say things that could hurt them, but I don't think, because if that was the case, Hoop Baller Scoop, he wouldn't be in there. He wouldn't be in there. They would still be talking about it. So I hope that answered your question, my brother.
Absolutely. Yeah, man. Hey, Liv, I'm gonna start putting that together though, man, and start reaching out to people, man, and getting the location and all that for All Ball Hall of Fame banquet and ceremony. Yeah. And I will go through the list. I sit down one night and I see who they already picked, and then I bring it to you and I send it out to everybody, and just see everybody on there who feel like, even the ones that's not here. Right. And we just do it up, man. No coaches, just basketball players. No coaches, because y'all the ones that ran up and down that damn floor, man.
No, I would say do both, but at separate times.
Yeah, at separate time. This is for the players now.
Yeah. You can even do it for the referees. I mean, the referees have,
Unless y'all see, if you do a mixture, then you're gonna leave people out. If you try to bring them all into one pile like they do with the Hall.
No, that's what I said. Just do the players, do the coaches, and then you can do the referees. I mean, because
don't know enough refs.
But we can have Steven, my man Steven Alexander, right here, who's on our page right now. He's a referee. He can help, put that together. I just want to celebrate, man, all of the people that are touching kids' lives. Think about it. You got the players, who people are looking up to now. You have coaches who are mentors. You got referees who's going, out on a limb each and every night to referee games to make sure that the kids are safe. People don't never talk about referees' jobs is really to make sure it's safe, right? Because
absolutely,
a foul can break out. Things can break out within that game. So it's organized, it's structured, and the referees have to make sure that the rules are, everybody goes by the rules.
And to add to that, the referees totally dictate the whole demeanor of the building because they are the ones with the voice, like you said, that's talking to those kids. You can see the kid that's getting riled up, that's ready to send it up. And it's important for that referee to go over to that young guy and say, hey, you know the world is watching.
That's right.
This one bad decision that you make can mess you up for the rest of your life now.
Yeah. And I didn't have referees tell me that. Not to me, but I didn't heard them say to certain kids, hey man, your body language ain't right. Just go. Just get to that bench real quick. Run. You know, like I didn't heard referees tell kids that because they know it's college coaches in here watching you.
Yeah.
If you moping and your shoulders down because that coach is taking you out, or I blew the whistle and you didn't like the call, and you talking back to me in a way that you know.
Don't nobody want that.
No, nobody want. They're not going to recruit you.
No, they much rather have a medium range player that's coachable than to have this superstar athlete that I got to babysit every damn day.
Because you know, Bob, a lot of referees did what? They hooped.
They hooped.
So they're giving back that way, man, to make sure that they are still connected to the game. But man, good show, man. We definitely hoop ball scoop. I had a contact with Cappy Poindexter, and we were going to get her on, and then all of a sudden we lost, contact. So I'm going to try definitely to get her back on. I mean, try to get her on the show because that would be a hot one, man.
Cappy Poindexter.
She was. That would be epic. We would definitely try to get her on. But in the meantime, we want to thank all of our listeners. People who came in, chimed in. We was talking about the sky, but then we went on to talk about some of the things that Bobby put out there on his social media page and about the things that I've accomplished in 4 games to get downstate. So we was all over the place like we always do. We want to give out the information. We want to make sure we touch everything. So I'm loving All Ball Chicago, and I'm hoping you guys enjoying it as well.
Absolutely, man. And it's been a good one. I'm your co-host, Robert Bobby Reed, and I got the legend, the NBA veteran, the McDonald All-American, the Parade All-American. Give it up to my man Marcus, man. What you finna be on, big fella?
Man, I'm about to chill. I'm about to go get me something to eat, man. And big shout out to my main man, Dennis Scott, man. Dennis Scott played with me. Played against me a lot, man, in the Nike camps and all that. He's doing his thing. I want to try to get Dennis Scott on as well, man, so we can talk and chop it up about basketball in that DC area.
What about your other boy, man? That was
Sean Higgins.
Not Sean
Lloyd
Higgins.
Daniels.
Lloyd Daniels. Get Lloyd.
I'm gonna try to get us 3 on. If we can get us
bro.
3 on, man, and talk about how this ranking and all this stuff was, formatted and who was that dude. I'm okay with it because Dennis Scott was on the board and Lloyd Daniels was on the ranking boards before me. Right.
Mm-hmm.
They were doing it. They were doing it when they were in 8th grade. They was going to these national camps. Wow. I didn't get a hold of it till it later on. So that's my dude, man. Dennis Scott, man, we got to get you on. Lloyd Daniels, we definitely going to reach out to Sweet Pea, let him get on and chop it up with us because he's doing the same thing. He's giving back to youth in New York. So, man, I'm excited, man.
Get the whole McDonald All-American team on that was on there with you and that 88 or that 87, 88.
Oh, man, we can't do that. But we tried to do that one already, man. But definitely, man, I'm gonna reach out to those 2 guys.
Well, it's all good, man. Well, it's documentary day for me. I'm at the crib chilling. I'm not in these streets. And, man, y'all enjoy yourself. Swing over there and get that coaching device, www.coachingdevices.com. I'm your boy, Robert Bobby Reed.
And I'm out of here, man. Peace, love, and happiness.
Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank y'all for watching.
Chicago, all ball, Chi-town, all ball, Chicago.